Meet me. All right, guys, I'm going to start doing a new series called Should You Pull? This is going to be episode 1 because I got a lot of comments about the triple group summon coming soon and how that was very helpful. And this channel, is mostly about helping people. And since I kind of underestimated the amount of people that are interested in knowing if they should pull for a hero or not, so I'm going to start doing that so that I could help more of the newer players out. And obviously, if you don't need this kind of advice, just skip these videos. My titles for my videos are pretty self-explanatory. So we already talked about the limited group summon. We already talked about Archdemon Shadow. But today we're going to talk about Fallen Cecilia. Now, for F2P players especially, mystics are really hard to come by. So they're always in like a quandary as to whether or not they should burn their hard-earned mystics on a specific hero. And a lot of times it's kind of tough to answer that question, especially with the way SG buffs things. But like for Archdemon Mercedes, the current banner, arguably the answer would be no, right? Like some top players, I've run into her in RTA, and she's definitely pretty devastating against the right team, but she's not the kind of hero you can draft everywhere. So if you can only pick one ML5, this is one I would not recommend. But when it comes to Fallen Cecilia, like good God, she's been meta defining for a really, really long time. Now, the funny thing is, on like arena defense, she's kind of fallen off because I think Operator Sigrid did a good job of kind of discouraging the use of Fallen Cecilia because she'll one shot your entire team. But Fallen Cecilia is still such a strong hero. And the other thing about this banner is Champion Zerato is also an S tier hero. Now, again, he's not a hero you can bring everywhere, but when they're running control comps, like something like, like let's pretend they drafted like FCC, ML Tywin, which is pretty common together, and they grabbed like T Surin, an SSB or something, that entire team has debuffs. So this becomes like a really dangerous last pick, because if you have a team that doesn't have an attack without debuffs, that basically means Champ Z is going to counter you 100% of the time. And especially with things like Fairy Tail Tenebria and Cerise running rampant all over the place, if you don't have Champion Zerato already, then he's an amazing pickup. So we kind of have this situation on this banner where you have two heroes that are ungodly good. For newer players, another thing I recommend is keep a close eye out on the rotation as well. This one doesn't seem particularly good. Like, Charlotte's a lot of fun, but I barely see her in high-end RTA. A few Legend players have her geared out the ass, and she works pretty well then. And Spirit's Breath is really great in PvE. For the most part, it's unseen in PvP. Some people run oxalots with it, but it's very rare because usually the souls are more valuable. And for the first turn, you can use a soul burn basically as a turn 1 Spirit's Breath. So I would recommend, if you don't want this stuff, wait till the next week, see if it's something better. Then if that's not good, wait till the third week. And if that's not better than the second week, just pull the second week. And this isn't exclusive to this banner. You should do this with every Mystic banner. If you just want the ML5, try to wait for a rotation where the artifact especially is something good. Like if it's like an Elbrus or an Alexa's, something that you're going to want multiple copies of, Abyssal Crown, that's when you should wait. I almost never get the 5-star hero, but the artifacts are pretty decent rates. Where is it here? Like almost 2%. So you will pick up a bunch of them, and if it's something great, that's something you want to wait for. So we already talked about Champ Z. Now let's talk about Fallen Cecilia and why she's so good and meta-defining. Number one, because of this ability, there is no hero in the game that provides better damage mitigation than Fallen Cecilia. If you put her on Aureus, basically, she reduces the damage your team takes turn 1 by a tremendous amount, because her barrier is based on her life, which is why you'll see a lot of people bump up their FCCs to 30k HP. And basically, it makes your team cleave-proof if they have any kind of durability at all, which is why in RTA, you're going to see a lot of players first ban FCC. By the way, if you didn't know this already, that's pretty much a signal that they're going to try to cleave you. So if they pick FCC first, you might want your first pick to be something anti-cleave right away. Her S3 kind of falls along the same lines. Like the skill nullifier, it's crazy. It blocks an entire attack, and if you time it right, like if you kill an arbiter with it, and you can just counter that counter S3, it's incredible. On top of that, against something like a cleave team, this actually does a ton of damage, to the point that some people even built like bruiser FCCs with crit damage. This hits a lot because it scales proportional to max HP. So I've seen cleave teams, when they get crit, go down to like 40% life off of FCC's S3. That is not unusual. And her S1 is also devastating because a 100% chance to provoke. So against the DPS, like typically, unless you build an effectiveness FCC, which some people do in Guild Wars defense, but in general it's pretty rare, but it will still land on DPSs. So if you can't afford to have something like an enemy DPS go on something and one-shot your DPS, then you just keep poking them with this over and over, and they literally can't get a turn. It's 100%. The only way it won't work is if you get 15%ed or resisted. Other than that, it lands every single time. And I've lost Guild Wars attacks because FCC would provoke lock my Ruel or something when I run into the rare high effectiveness FCC, and I basically wouldn't be able to get a turn and die. The other thing to note about FCC is that she hard counters a lot of defenses, like specific heroes. Like we're just gonna browse this real quick, but let's pretend he had like a Flitica on defense. In RTA, I think it's random what it strips unless I ran into a bug, but in Arena offense and Guild Wars offense, it always strips the barrier, which means your immunities are always protected. So if you go up against any Flitica team, you don't really see them very much anymore. Basically, FCC alone nullifies that whole team. Also, in this case, they have Cerise, but let's say they had a solo Fairy Tail Tenebria, same deal. It's going to strip the barrier first. You basically get to protect the immunity. So a lot of auto teams as well. FCC is great. Like one of my favorite teams was SSB FCC DN, and you basically just click the auto button and you win every time. Amazing. So basically FCC just counters so many things with strips because the barrier covers the immunity, on top of the fact that she's basically like quartering the damage you take. And on defense, obviously, she's very annoying as well. And the other thing about FCC is that she just makes other heroes much better as well. Let me give you an example. I'm not going to actually run this match or anything. I just want to kind of show you. So let's say you have T. Surin. T. Surin by herself is really nowhere near as good. You're going to see on Guild Wars defense, there is a reason that T. Surin is always paired with FCC and not just some random knight with Aureus. It's because her passive, where she can only take like 50% of her HP as damage, stacks with the barrier, which is why it takes like 4 hits to kill some T. So like let's say a T. Surin had 8k life, right? That means she can only be hit for 4k. So if you give her a 5k barrier, it's like a 4-hitter. Like you can't kill her, which is why FCC combos so well with certain heroes. Also, stealth heroes, like especially with Guiding Light being such a powerful artifact now, like Landy. If I was afraid of someone picking like a fast DPS, like a RB or something, with FCC, because you have the barrier, you'll have Landy on Guiding Light. If you don't have FCC, RB will knock her out of stealth right away, and then they could just do work to her. But with FCC, if he can't break the barrier, and with FCC, if he doesn't get Alexa's, good chance he won't, the stealth is still protected by the FCC barrier. Those are just the kind of things. And on off level, when it comes to drafting, if you pick FCC, they're going to want to respond to her right away, and they're going to probably like pick something like Bassar to annoy you. But the fact of the matter is, she's amazing at damage mitigation. She makes specific heroes like Guiding Light heroes or Tempest Surin, those kind of heroes, much better. Her S3 actually hits pretty hard. She can lock people down. You should absolutely pull for this hero if you have the ability to. You won't regret it, especially when the consolation prize, if you get a purple shiny and you fail to get FCC, if the consolation prize is Champ Z, another S tier hero, you really can't go wrong on this banner. So I highly recommend that if you don't have Fallen Cecilia, you pull for her. She's going to make your life a lot easier and a lot of content. Not that anyone cares, she's pretty good in PvE as well. So anyways, if you guys want a full review of either of these heroes, I reviewed both these heroes in full before on my channel, so go ahead and look at those. But otherwise, I hope this helped some of you newer players out who are having some anxiety about whether or not you should skip or wait for the new ML5, whatever. And yeah, I'll try and do more of these in the future. Anyways, thanks for watching. Till next time, peace out.